What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm really excited to bring you my full review of the CMB Designs Predator. This one has a 3.5-inch D2 steel blade, 4.25-inch handles. I did pick up the Micarta variant, even though you did recently see the G10 variant on the channel. Overall length is 7.75 inches and claimed weight is 4.6 ounces. Let's go ahead and test that weight really quick. So definitely coming in at 4.6 ounces. Always nice to see from the manufacturer. I'm not going to do the box with this one. I know I have been doing that here recently, but what I'll do is I'll go ahead and link right here for you guys the other video if you want to see the full in-depth review. I'm just going to go through this one pretty quick. I am going to do size comparisons in case you're checking it out for the first time and you didn't see the other video. And then what I'll also do is I will go ahead and do some profile comparisons for thickness, give you my thoughts and impressions of this variant, and touch a little bit more on this knife, and then I'll give you some alternate recommendations. So first up from size comparisons is going to be the Yojimbo 2. As you can see here, the Predator and the Yojimbo 2 occupy the same real estate as far as length and almost the same amount of presence. And then a slightly bigger knife is going to be my Spyderco Shaman. You can see here the Shaman is just bigger overall, but the Predator is 100% a full-size knife for sure. Let me go ahead and get these two out of the way, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and bring in my crossbar lock knives. First up is going to be the Benchmade Bug Out. You can see here that the Predator is just a little bit bigger and has a little bit more presence than the Bug Out. And then I will bring out the SIG K320 made by Hogue. And the Predator is actually going to be closer in size to the Hogue, even though the Hogue is a little bit bigger and has just a little bit more presence. But the girth and the handle is very similar, but you do have a little bit more blade, or a little bit of a taller blade here on the SIG K320. Let me go ahead and get these crossbar locks out of the way, and we will go ahead and bring out the budget knives. Alright, first up is going to be the Kubi KU321. I like this one because it is a sub 3-inch blade, so that's a nice reference if you're into smaller knives or if you have restrictions where you live. And then the Buck 110 Plus, which is a really nice budget option. That's a USA made blade for under $30. So hopefully some of these knives help you from a size reference. What I'll do is give you a little bit of a profile comparison as well, so that you can see just how thin or thick this knife is. And I'm actually going to switch hands because the knives are on my right hand side. So you can see here the Kubi is just a tad bit thicker, so this has got a lot of thickness to it and just a little hint of contouring, not too much. I'll bring the Bug Out here so that you can see the Bug Out is just going to be slightly thinner overall. And then I will bring out the Yojimbo 2, which has the same thickness as the Para 3 if you're familiar with that knife. So there you go. You can see this is just a little bit thicker than some of the knives that I brought out here. One thing that I did forget to mention, I did go ahead and switch out my microphone. I was starting to notice I was having some issues here recently trying to run the fan because it's hot and it's summer, and it didn't really like when I would stop if it would catch a gust of wind depending on how I was sitting in my chair when I'm trying to do this tabletop review. So I picked up a little bit nicer of a microphone. I picked up a Rode mic. Hopefully that's really helping, and it'll come through on y'all's end as well. So let's talk about this knife a little bit. So it does have D2 steel, really has an excellent edge, and you can go look in my other video for the full review of that, but it came with a really nice edge from the factory, and I'll show you here just how nice it is and how easily it goes through the cardboard. I mean, it just slices right through, really easy to hold a line with it as well. So really nice. The thing about D2 is you're going to want to maintain that edge if you like it that sharp, which I can't imagine that you wouldn't, but it's easier to use the knife and then go and take it across like a leather strop or a ceramic rod just to keep that fine edge, because it is really hard to get D2 to take a fine edge and still be toothy. That's one of the disadvantages of the D2 being so popular on budget knives, is because if you do use your knife a lot, you're going to have a really hard time sharpening it back up if you wait till it gets dull. So it's just easier to maintain that edge. The micarta on here is pretty nice. It reminds me of the micarta that you find on like a QSP Penguin or a Parrot. It has a very smooth finish to it. It's not very roughed up, so it doesn't have really good grip. It's pretty slick. But the nice thing is, if you're barehanded and you're using the knife, you're going to get pretty good grip as your hand builds up moisture while holding onto the knife. So if you're doing like repetitions or repeated cuts, or you're using it pretty consistent back to back and you have a little moisture building up on your hand, micarta does excel in that regard because it does give you extra grip, which is really, really nice. The other thing I like too is the ergonomics on here are really nice. You get a really nice hand position. I have found that I like to have my finger actually on top of the ramp, and then I like to have my middle finger occupy that cutout there. Gets you right up to the blade, which, by the way, they give you a really excellent sharpening choil. You'll be able to sharpen a lot on this knife before you have to worry about running into any sort of smile. I mean, the blade will basically be gone by the time that happens. It does have, like I said, steel liners. It does have steel liners that are milled out, so it does have the milling for the weight reduction. Let me grab my flashlight so you can see that a little bit better. So there you can see it does have the milling for weight reduction, which is how they're able to get it under that 5 ounces. But the full steel liners was a good choice because it gives reinforcement to the micarta, and it does make it feel substantial in the hand. Really nice in hand, feels really, really comfortable. It does have a right hand tip up deep carry pocket clip that is inset into the liners. This goes in and out of the pocket without any issues, but there's no lefty love here. It is not reversible. My big complaint about this knife was on the other version of it, which remains true for this version, is the studs that go on the crossbar lock are bull-nosed. So if you're fidgeting with the knife, they get uncomfortable after a while. It starts to leave a little indentation on the fingers. Not awful, not as bad as I would say as probably Chris Reeves thumb studs. Those are very pokey, and those can get uncomfortable after fidgeting for a while, but these are not too bad, especially because the thumb studs are really well done. I really like the thumb studs. They have really nice milling. They remind me a lot of the Benchmade Bug Out. The coating on here is doing pretty good. Like I said, I've done a little bit of testing. You can probably see a little bit of the marks here going across the blade where I just tested the edge out. Just wanted to see how the coating was going to do. I haven't done any heavy cutting with it, and I haven't carried it a ton. I did have the black G10 one that I carried for like 2 weeks, cut with a little bit, fidgeted with it. So I anticipate that I'm going to have the same experience with this one. Now, this has phosphor bronze in the washers, in the pivot, phosphor bronze washers in the pivot, which give really good fall set action, deploys really smoothly. The spring tension is heavy, so you have a nice detent where you can ramp up a little and then you can give it a flick and spit that sucker right on out. It deploys really, really nicely. So this is a recommendable knife. This is an under $50 knife. The one knife that I did with the G10 variant that I thought was a nice comparison is the same knife that I'm going to do here, and that's the Free Tiger FT2103. Both of them have D2 steel. This is a little bit smaller. They're both over 3 inches, but this is a little bit smaller, a little bit more friendly of an EDC carry if you like to carry other gear like I do. I carry other stuff down in the pockets, usually in an organizer of some kind, slip joint or Swiss Army knife or something to that effect. I will say the action on the Free Tiger is smoother because it does have bearings in the pivot, and they are ceramic bearings, and you get this knife for under $30, which I think is another reason why this is so impressive. To me, this makes me feel like if a Banter and a Bug Out had a baby. Kind of reminds me of that type of design cue. Really nice sharpening choil. You do get a satin blade, a little bit more billboarding here going on than you're seeing on this CMB Designs. You almost can't even see that it says CMB Designs knife on there, and the D2 is tucked up really nicely as well. A little bit smaller than it is on the Free Tiger. So again, $50, that's a really nice option. Otherwise, I would say if you don't want D2, take a look at anything from Civivi that's a flipper and or Syncut. There's a lot of 9CR 14C28N, kind of close to that price point. I say that because you can get a Chevalier, I think, and a not a Conspirator, a Cogent for around 66 bucks, which is roughly about $20 more, give or take, than this one. But if you go to White Mountain Knives, if they're in stock, if you use my discount code, you get 10% off of this knife, which makes this a really sweet deal. And I like that it's a more full-size knife. You get more blade, more handle, and you get some micarta instead of G10. I'm fidgeting with the Free Tiger. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that in the background. Which I think is a little bit nicer, and you're going to get it for close to the price of the Free Tiger, which is out on the Amazon, and I'll link all that down in the description for you if you're interested in any of these knives. But really great knife for the money. I think this is a great user. It's a great size. It has really nice ergonomics, really good spring tension for the deployment, and it's just going to be a really good user knife. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor, leave a like, consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. If you are subscribed, thank you for the support. I appreciate it very much. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.